Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I delayed in making this review because after a couple days using the lens, I knew what it was, I knew what my thoughts were on it, and you might think to yourself, well, that's not a fair review, how can you do that? But when you shoot enough stuff like I do, not saying I'm a pro at everything, but just having experienced a lot of stuff, you kind of know quickly what it is. What I'm talking about here is the TTartisans 27mm f2.8 for Fuji. This is supposed to be like a competitor to the Fuji 27mm. I have here the 27mm f2.8 WR, the newest one that has the aperture ring. So it was a really, really good comparison. But before I do that, let's talk a little bit about some of the physical features of this lens, just so you know what it looks like. Well, first of all, the box, it comes in this box right here. It looks like this. You know, they always do a good job with their boxing, little cutout foam thing in there. Looks good. But the lens itself is kind of interesting. So it's no doubt that they tried to kind of mimic the 27 Fuji, but it's a bit different. So first of all, first and foremost, you have on the side this lens cap, the rear lens cap. And let's see if I can get this to focus right here. There you go. You have right here the USB-C port for firmware updates. And inside of it, you've got contacts to do the updates. And so that's a bit different. So if you need to do some firmware updates, you do it through the rear lens cap. That clicks onto the lens right here. And then you have, you know, similar to the Fuji lens, you have this little like tiny lens hood. The Fuji one has this as well. And they have a pinch cap that goes over it for the front lens cap. But there's a big difference because the build quality of this Fuji lens is, in my opinion, much better than the TTartisans. Now, the TTartisans lens isn't bad build quality, not whatsoever. It's just that this has got, you know, beefier focus rings. It's got a beefier aperture ring. It just feels like a little bit more robust in your hands. And that's one point too. The aperture ring. You know, this aperture ring only has knurling right here in this one spot. I don't know if you can see this right there. That's it. That little spot. And it doesn't have it all the way around or 3/4 of the way around like the Fuji lens does. So what I found was in operation as I was trying to move the aperture ring, I had to go find these two little knurling spots and then do it like this. And by the way, the clicks sound great. And so that was a bit of a thing. I was grabbing the smooth part a lot and like I couldn't turn it because there's no grip. And that was the first thing that kind of turned me off, that if you have the Fuji lens, it's got the ridges most of the way around. And so it's easy for you to grab it and understand quickly how to, you know, turn the aperture ring. The second thing is that on the Fuji lens there is a mode, which if you push this button right here, it locks in A mode. And so that's different than this as well. And so that was my first comparison difference, like build quality and usability right off the bat. I thought, okay, this is okay, but it's not quite the Fuji. So there was that. The second piece comes down to image quality. Image quality, it's not bad, but they're totally different. Now, I actually never wanted to get the Fuji 27mm because I thought it was a stupid lens. Like 27mm is 40, not my favorite. 2.8, which on like APS-C is like a f4.2 depth of field, not that compelling. And like when you have the Fujicrons available that aren't that much bigger than this, it makes it tough for me to want to go for this. But after talking to some people that are friends of mine through YouTube and convincing me to look at this lens, I picked one up. And I was surprised how much I liked this lens for two reasons. The first is it's in terms of image quality. The first is it's extremely sharp. It's sharper than a lot of the lenses I've picked up for Fuji. It's incredibly sharp. And the second is it's kind of hand in hand with that. It's got a ton of micro contrast, or enough micro contrast. And so when I shot it, even though depth of field wasn't something you could do as an artistic advantage very much, it had very good output. So if you shoot it in some black and white, you just had that like micro contrast. It just looked really good, so I really liked it. This lens is not that. And so let me show you some examples as I talk about this right now. This has like different coatings. It's not to say it's not sharp, but it has like that real vintagey look to it. These are straight out of camera, and they just kind of have that like that filmic look. You ever taken like an old like, you know, film lens with the older coatings, and you adapt it onto your digital camera, and it has like that lower contrast, less sharp look, has more of a filmic look. That's this. That's this. And for some people, that might be something you're into because you don't want that clinical look. It can do it. But it's totally different in terms of output in my mind versus the Fuji lens. This is sharp, micro contrast, a lot of bite to it, and I like that. Whereas this is more of that like softer, lower contrast filmic look. And so that was the second thing I noticed immediately as I shot it. Of course, if you shoot like with some backlighting, you get some of the chromatic aberrations. There's some of that available as well, because I guess I'm guessing the coatings in this are some of the older style or lower coating lenses. So that's another difference. The third is the autofocusing. The minimum focusing distance on this is 0.35 meters, so 1.15 feet. On this one, the Fuji lens, what is it? Oh no, I don't know what it is. All right, whatever, I'll put it up on the screen. But I noticed I had to be a lot further back. It seemed like, I hope the statistics don't disagree with me, but it seemed like I'd be a lot further back to get the TTartisans lens to focus. So if you want to do some of those close-up shots to generate some of that background blur and bokeh, a little bit more difficult because you'd be further away. The second thing regarding bokeh, this bokeh has more, the Fuji has, well, let me say it this way. The TTartisans has more of like that swirly cat's eye bokeh. I took some pictures just to bokeh out the tree, Christmas tree, and you can see on the edges of the frames where the Christmas lights have this cat's eye shape to them. And so, yeah, this lens has, again, like kind of that swirly bokeh, which some people might be into. I'm into it sometimes, but it's just different than the Fuji lens. So that was another difference. And then last but not least is the autofocusing speed. I'll put a video up right here of the autofocusing speed on a Fuji X-E4. You can see in that video that it's not terrible, but it's not fast. And to be fair, the Fuji lens isn't that fast either, but I feel like, again, this is a bit slower. And I don't know if it has to do with autofocusing motors or not, or if this is a native mount and this is something that's a third-party lens. It's a bit slower. So let me summarize this. I believe the TTartisans lens retails for $160. You can check me on that. And the Fuji lens is more than double that in price. If you're looking for a pancake lens for the Fuji system, and you're looking for something just cheap to bang around, and you don't mind the slower focusing speeds, you don't mind that lower contrast look, you kind of want more of that softer look, then yeah, go ahead and give this thing a try. For $160, I don't think it's going to hurt you. But if I had to pick only one, I would pick the Fuji lens. And that's just because the build quality is better. I like the way the aperture ring's implemented. I like that higher micro contrast, that sharper look that this 27 has. I like the fact that this is weather sealed. I don't believe this one is. I'll have to double check, but I don't think it is. So that's another thing to think about. I just really like the rendering out of this Fuji lens better than this one. Oh my gosh. Okay, should I cut that out? Okay. So yeah, with that, I would say go with the Fuji, just to be totally honest with you. In saying that though, because I'm not going to keep this. Anybody who is watching this right now, if you comment below that you want this lens and tell me what Fuji camera you have that you're going to put this on, and what you intend to use it for. Those three things. I want this, what camera you're putting it on, and what you intend to use it for. I'll pick one of you in about a week's time, and I will ship you this lens for free. I'm going to give it away. Because I don't have a use for it besides me just dropping it on my desk right there. It's in perfect shape, and it works totally fine, honestly, and I don't want it anymore. So with that, guys, thanks for watching. This is just a quick review of this TTartisans lens. I also have some updates on my gear. I've been rounding it out little bit by little. I'm going to 2023. I'm trying to get to a spot where I feel comfortable. I'm rounding it out. I have a video coming out on a couple additions and changes I've made to the kit, and I will let you guys know what that is. I'm hoping to get down to kind of a minimal 2-camera kit for 2023 to see if see if I can keep the gas at minimum next year. So thanks for watching, guys. TTartisans 27 2.8. It's what it is. It's look at this thing trying to grab my face. No, grab right there. There you go. All right, thanks, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.